Hello, and thank you for joining me today. This is Taliesin McKnight. Now, in many different cultures throughout the world, you have the idea of a life force or life energy. Um, you know, I've talked about this many times before, but it seems to me that this is vastly important, extremely important. And the more that I study different religions, the more that I study different realms of occultism, New Age movements, the more that I study different systems of philosophy, the more it seems to come back to this life force. Um, in China they call life force chi. In Japan they call it ki. The Kabbalists call it ruach, breath. Now, in the Holy Cabala, the tree of life represents the human body, among other things. And the Sephirot are energy centers in the body, energy centers. And the 22 paths on the tree of life are the currents of energy in the body. So that the tree of life represents the human body, the Sephirot, the Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tiferet, Netzach. The Sephirot represent the different energy centers on the human body. Okay? And you have two opposing pillars on the tree of life, Jachin and Boaz. It is through the balancing of the two opposing currents of energy that you reach enlightenment, that you become biologically transformed into the enlightened figure or divine man. Now, this reminds you of the Caduceus wand of Hermes, one of the oldest symbols that we have that probably derives from Sumeria according to various scholars. The Caduceus wand of Hermes, which is used in Hinduism, it's used by the ancient Greeks, it's used by the medieval alchemists, and is the symbol of our medical profession today. The Caduceus wand of Hermes shows a central staff with two serpents twined around it. Okay? Now, to the yogis, and this is back to yoga again, the central staff represents the Sushumna, or central spinal column, the central current of energy, of the life force, or what in yoga or Hinduism they call prana. Now, it is through balancing the opposing currents of energy of Ida and Pingala, which is represented, according to the Hindus, in the Caduceus wand, by the two twined serpents, or the two opposing energies of the body, which brings you back to Freemasonry, the two pillars on King Solomon's porch, the two pillars used in the Golden Dawn, which they talk about, the pillars of Shu, the pillars of the gods of dawning light, that the two opposing pillars represent the balancing of opposing forces, the balancing of opposites, the balancing of the energies in the body. Okay? And so in the Kabbalah, you have the energy centers, the Sephirot, the two opposing energy currents, or Jachin and Boaz, and the raising of man's consciousness up the middle pillar. Balance is important. In yoga, they have 7 chakras, or 7 energy centers, and the different currents of energy, and the raising of the kundalini, or serpent fire, through the different spheres. Same thing in the Kabbalah, raising man's consciousness from Malkut to Keter. Okay? Of course, you have to cross the abyss. Now, okay? In yoga, you have to balance the two opposing currents. You can't have an imbalance of the two serpents. You can't have an imbalance of Ida or Pingala. You have to go up the Sushumna, the central staff. You have to balance the currents of energy. Now, in the New Age movement, derived from yoga, which a lot of modern meditational, Westerners do, they do a thing where they close their eyes and they visualize energy going up Ida and down Pingala. To balance the energies. Balance the energies now. Okay? Now that's the Kabbalah, that's yoga. Now if you go to China and Japan, I mentioned that in China and Japan they call the life force ki, and in China they call it chi. Okay? So I already mentioned the Kabbalah from Israel. I already mentioned yoga, which is from India. So that's the Middle East, India. Now we're going to China and Japan. We already went to the Middle East and India. Now we went from the Middle East. Now we're going to Japan and China. Okay? In Qi, that's where you get the word Dai Qi. A lot of people mispronounce it Tai Chi, but in modern Chinese, the T is a D sound. Taoism. It's not Taoism, it's Taoism. Taoism is represented by the yin and the yang, and they have an idea of life force or life energy. This brings a lot of modern people to think that they believe in a life after death. They don't. They believe that when you die, you just fucking die, and the life force goes in the universe. Now, back to Taoism. They have the idea of balancing the life energy to bring healing. Health is about balancing life energy. And so they will eat the right foods, they will do the right things to balance the two currents of energy in the body. That's what Tai Chi is all about, is balancing the currents of energy in the body. Reiki, that's where you get the ki, and Reiki is about pushing life energy into someone and letting the chi, or ki of the universe, flow through them to affect healing. Okay? Again, there's the idea of balancing the two currents of energy. Okay? The different forms of Hawaiian magic, which I'm not going to really go into because some of it is secret, but in different forms, they do use the idea of power from the sun. Now, in yoga, they talk about prana coming from the sun and animating all life. Okay? In Rosicrucianism, once again, I'm not going to go all into that because it's secret, but in Rosicrucianism, I do feel like it's okay to say that they believe that the vital life force comes from the sun. Okay? That's Amart. Now, the Theosophical Society, Madame Blavatsky believes that vitality or life force came from the sun and animated all life. Now, and so in various systems, they believe that the life force emanates from the sun and that plants absorb it and animals get it through the air that they breathe. So that the life force fills the water, it fills plants, animals breathe it. So that there are two places that you get the life force, through the air that you breathe and the foods and waters that you consume. Okay? And so the idea is that in various systems that the negative polarity comes from the foods and water we eat, and that the positive polarity comes through the air that we breathe, and we have to balance these two opposing powers. Okay? Now, Eliphas Levi talked about the astral light, which he said was animal magnetism. You know, brings you back to Mesmer and his whole idea that there's electromagnetic energy, and that he had his different equipment. He was kind of a quack, but I think he was a genius too, and he might have been onto something. Now, Eliphas Levi, talking about the astral light, the great magical agent that permeates the whole universe, he symbolized it in the form of Baphomet. He has one hand up and one hand down. The whole idea, the whole image of Baphomet shows balance of opposites. Baphomet has breasts and a penis and breasts. You know, he's a hermaphrodite. That's a little weird. Anyways, okay, that's just a symbol. So, the symbol of Baphomet represented opposites and the two opposing currents of energy of the life force, the telesma, the prana, the chi, ki, ruach, whatever the hell you want to call it. Through, you can go to India, China, Japan, Israel, the medieval alchemists. You can go to Rosicrucianism, modern occult movements. All throughout the world is the idea of life energy. In many of these ancient doctrines that you find from around the world, they have the idea that man is a reflection of the universe, and the universe is a reflection of man. Now, why would man be a reflection of the universe? According to these doctrines, it's because everything in existence goes by certain laws. There is a universal pattern, okay? The same pattern that's in the universe, the same archetypal pattern is in living things like you and I. The same archetypal pattern is found in the cells in our body. Now, even anatomical structures, according to these doctrines, I'm not saying it's true. Now, since everything goes by universal pattern, if there is life force in the body, then there is life force in the universe as a whole. The idea of magic is to not just channel the energies of your body to raise energy and release it like you do in Wicca. The idea in magic is also to channel the energies of the universe as a whole, so that the universe as a whole can be there to do your will. The true will, hopefully, y'all. So that's the Cabala. All over the world they have the idea of life force, life energy. In magic, this is used as the power of creation. But like I said, the Holy Cabala, the tree also represents the human body, and the Sephiroth in the human body. Now, this is important, okay? Why is it that these different systems talk about a life energy? Now, it brings you to question, is it really there or not? Is there really a life force?